I want to say a bit about this thing called RAAC. Well, actually it's called RAAC, as a matter of fact. Reinforced autoclaved aerated concrete. I know. Seemingly a ticking time bomb patiently waiting to blow. Commonly used for public buildings from the 50s to the 90s. In panel form, are quick to build and cheap, so no surprises. It has a known lifespan of only 30 years and is prone to sudden collapse. If they knew about the timing, they must have known and ignored it. Perhaps. In 2010, the coalition cancelled Labour's Building Schools for the Future scheme, probably just playing politics, the blue team dominating the red team. Gove was education something or other, strangely enough at the time. Nowadays, still something with buildings makes my thoughts untwine. If 2 and 2 don't make 6, the government is obviously up to more tricks. Have I mentioned before, just follow the money, because it's quite a joke, but it just isn't funny. I'll get back to that in a minute if I don't completely forget, which could very easily happen, though it hasn't happened yet. Today. These buildings that can just collapse, some built half a century or more, were seen to be visibly crumbling a fair few years before the shelf life, for want of a better phrase, which became a thing of the past, lost in the haze. Very many schools are once again closed, more expense on the parents imposed. Kids at home bored as shit, credit spewing from the money pit. 2018, the roof of a school in Kent fell in. Couldn't have seen that one coming, but I bet it made a din. Who does it harm and who's it gain? All just part of their political game. Not that I'm trying to imply the game is everything, but for them it starts and ends with ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. What's in it for me should be their motto, while us lot can just play the National Lotto, which it turns out it's an anagram. I mean, National Lottery becomes total non-reality. Try it yourself and you'll see. What they probably haven't mentioned, which I'm sure will soon come to light, the amount of asbestos used in these buildings, which everyone knows ain't right. Schools, hospitals, prisons, police stations and courts are all in danger of collapse. Just gives me food for thought. Is this the fall of Babylon where civilization finally breaks? I wonder what will be the next epoch as it leaves this behind in its wake. But back to buildings. What is their latest money spinner? Diminishing environmental protection. Winner, winner, roasted dinner. Lobbyists putting pressure on ministers in the best way they know how. Holding back donations from their very sacred cash cow. It seems the way to get your way is to hold on to your cash. When you want something done, just wave it about and watch the fuckers dash. Anyway, even before this, they caused damage, but just had to mitigate, which is like watching all your cows wander off before thinking of shutting the gate. To mitigate, they bought lots of farmland and land next to rivers and streams. Perfect money spinners for building developer schemes. Now, the rules have been diminished and they own a lot of land on which to build a lot of houses. That sounds like it's really grand. They say there's a housing shortage, but that just isn't true. There's over 500,000 empty homes here in England alone. But they aren't where they're needed, I hear the rhetoric moan. A factory is just a place of work and not a place of worship. A happy crew is more efficient than a home of entrepreneurship. How do I know how to spell that word? I amaze myself occasionally, then wave my triumph at my invisible friends totally ostentatiously. I've just seen how much I've written. That's quite a fucking story. When instead, to explain all the above, I could have just written Tory.